I'm curious your thoughts about the difference between the average populist Tea Partier and the average populist Occupy Wall Streeter.
Oh, well, it's a good question, and it's nice to be back with you again, by the way.
Thank you.
But in any case, I would say obviously the Tea Party demographic is older, more established, but I think they share.
Well, we just had a call from one of the Occupy Wall Street groups in Vancouver, Washington, who said that this weekend's March meeting, whatever, they had about a couple hundred people there. More than 80% of the people there were boomers. They were in their 50s, 60s, 70s. So that's the demographic of the Tea Party. That does tend to be more of the Tea Party demographic. I would say, the Tea Party folks tend to get up, if they're not retired, tend to go up and go to work in the morning, whereas it seems almost by definition lots of the Occupy people don't. But I think there are certain shared qualities in that obviously they're both dissatisfied with what's happening now. But they come at it from different perspectives in terms of their solutions. Yeah, well, when you do the surveys, as the New York Times, Washington Post, Zogby, others, I'm sure you're familiar with the surveys of actual Tea Party members. I'm not talking about multimillionaires like Dick Armey or billionaires like the Koch brothers or the people who are the stooges for them, the people who run the organizations, but the actual average Americans who identify themselves as Tea Partiers. You get, do you want Social Security to be untouched and stronger, or for that matter, do you want the cap raised from $186,000 to infinity so that the billionaires pay the same Social Security tax as the average person to keep the program solvent? You get agreement of over 80% among Tea Partiers. When you say, and I could go through the list, and it's the list that you would characterize as left-wing stuff, and the Tea Partiers, on the average Tea Partiers, all agree with that. And should the banksters be in jail? I don't get where the differences are, frankly, between I get the differences on the people who are putting up who are bringing in the $300,000 buses and bringing people in for the Glenn Beck rallies and whatever, or for that matter, if you want to throw it on the other side, the union people who are bringing people in for rallies. I get that there's differences there in leadership, but as grassroots populist movements, it seems to me like it's all the same thing.
Yeah. Before I respond on the substance, Tom, I just let the record show I'm not going to respond every time you refer to stooges and banksters and things like that, but just take it, stipulate that I'm not agreeing with you on all those things.
Fine.
We won't waste time on every point.
Sure.
Look, I think there are, because at the end of the day, it does come down to politics. It does come down to voting. And the Occupy folks, if they do get to the polls, they're going to vote despite anything they might say or do. They're going to vote overwhelmingly for Democrats and for Barack Obama. And the Tea Party folks are going to vote for Republicans. So, you might find some interesting polling data, but at the end of the day, there is a deep political divide here.
Yeah. So you see a populist right-wing movement. What possible argument could be made by or for or on behalf of a Tea Partier that says that causes them to genuinely believe that their interests are aligned with the Koch brothers, that if Koch Industries is allowed to dump more pollution into the air and kill more people with cancer downwind from it, that is somehow something that they should put their bodies on the line for and fight for?
It's interesting that you single that out because, again, I mentioned that at Newsbusters, what we do is kind of critique the liberal media, and I had an item up the other night about Mike Papantonio appearing on MSNBC and saying that Herman Cain had been, quote-unquote, purchased by the Koch brothers in order that the Koch brothers could, quote-unquote, kill more people with their, quote-unquote, toxins. So I guess, I don't know if this is
there are people
circulating.
who are downwind from some of their plants who are dying, and that's been documented. And Herman Cain last week came out and said, I'm the Koch brothers' brother by another mother. So I'm not sure those are such controversial statements. Frankly,
by the same token, people downwind and upwind in every direction. There's ultimately 100% mortality rate. So
and besides that, Mike Papantonio is not here to defend himself, and frankly, neither are the Koch brothers. So let's have this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So but look,
between you and me,
the basic point here is that either you accept the notion, as I think it was JFK who put it, that a rising tide lifts all boats, or you don't. And I think ultimately Obama and the Occupy people for whom he's expressed some support have a very cramped and limited and pessimistic view of the world. They imagine that there's only a certain size of pie to go around, and if one person has more, the other person, by definition, has to have less.
Well, but that's what's happened. Since Reaganomics began in 1981, we've seen the top 1%. We've seen their income go up 257%, and we've seen the average income of the average working person actually decline. Right now, we have 30% student unemployment. Postgraduate unemployment. I mean, it's just the numbers. 30% of young people are unemployed or making minimum wage with student loans. They can't afford to pay rent.
30% of college students are, I would imagine, choosing fields of education that do not really equip them to compete in the modern economy. So, you have every right to pursue a degree in feminist studies or anthropology, but then don't complain when you come out and there's not a good-paying job for you.
I don't think, Mark, you're going to be able to hang your hat on that, because there's, I get people calling into this program constantly who have degrees in everything from accounting to very sophisticated software engineering, who are seeing their jobs going to India, who are seeing their jobs.
Then the question is, Tom, do they want to improve their lot in life or that of the younger generation by taking from the rich and just handing it out to others, or do we want to create a more vibrant economy in which there'll be more activity, more jobs, more wealth for all, rather than to have the heavy hand of government redistributing the wealth?
Well, I think that you're offering a Hobsons choice. I mean, the fact of the matter is that during the period of time when we had a top marginal tax rate on millionaires and billionaires that discouraged people from taking more than $2 or $3 million in today's money out of their company every year, because up until that point, their tax rates were fairly low or reasonable, but after that point, it was 74 to 91%. And so the average CEO only made 30 times. I mean, the CEO of General Motors in the 1950s made 30 times what a janitor made. And nowadays, you've got CEOs who are making 500 times, 5,000 times on Wall Street. You got one company where it's 20,000 times to one. I mean, there's... What those people used to do was keep the money in the business and grow the business. Now they're taking the money out and putting it in their Swiss bank accounts. How is that possibly of any value to any of us?
Right. I think, again, you're describing, in essence, the politics of jealousy.
I'm saying we've tried it your way for 30 years, and it's crashed the economy. It didn't work.
No, I don't think so at all. I think what crashed the economy was not the regulation or the under-regulation of the economy, but to the contrary, what led to this latest financial crisis was the over-regulation, the politicization of financial markets.
Nonsense. That's, as you know, AIG was allowed to write $3 trillion in derivatives because in 2004, George Bush changed the rules.
But listen, but Tom, it's because the people in the financial markets knew, and depositors knew that government.
Do you know what the Bear Stearns exemption is?
But wait, I think...
Mark, a quick question. Do you know what the Bear Stearns exemption is?
Tom, the bottom line is I think that we have some common ground. If you want to eliminate corporate welfare, well, so do I. I say there is no bank too big to fail.
We'll leave it on that point. Mark.
Okay, in 2008...
Hang on, Mark.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Mark Finkelstein, newsbusters.org. You can read his work over there. Mark, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Tom.